The Xperia X lineup puts an end to the long-standing Xperia Z series of high-end smartphones. Like its name suggests, the Xperia X Performance, which we're about to review today, is the most powerful of the X series. It comes with a Snapdragon 820 chipset, IP68 waterproofing, and a brushed metal back. It's just the opposite of a big flashy phone, but it's every bit as premium as the best of its competitors and its predecessors. So let's see what it has to offer. The new Xperia X lineup follows the understated design language of its predecessors, but handling is now easier with a curved glass and a smaller frame which houses a smaller 5-inch display. The back is also slightly curved at the edges, and the fact that it's actually made of metal is another novelty for Sony. Sony smartphones all have camera buttons on the side, and the Xperia X Performance has a snappy fingerprint reader too, embedded under the power button. The reader is not always on, so you need to press the power button for it to scan your finger, but nevertheless unlocking the phone with it feels instantaneous. The only thing on the opposite side of the phone is the SIM and micro SD card slot, which allows the affordable storage expansion. The tray is really easy to open, but the phone restarts every time you do that. Sony have deliberately chosen a 5-inch screen size to ensure the Xperia X Performance is comfortable to hold. The screen is just 1080p in resolution, and even though it's less than what most of its competitors offer, we find it to be more than enough for everyday use, especially at this diagonal. The screen panel itself is vivid and is as bright as the Xperia Z5 screen, but the contrast ratio is much higher thanks to the deeper blacks. The Android build running on the X Performance is 6.0 Marshmallow. It's very close to stock Android with a few of Sony's own touches. For a start, you can download different UI themes, and there's a new suggested page which allows you to search for any of the installed apps on the phone and also offers you popular suggestions from Google Play. Small apps may be gone now along with the screen recording feature, but Sony's trademark stamina mode is back after being absent for a while from Sony's Android Marshmallow builds. Finally, there's a Sony's own multimedia apps like Album and Music. The built-in high-res audio support allows you to play the highest possible quality digital audio and will also upscale low-res music tracks. Sony's most powerful phone yet comes with a chart-topping Snapdragon 820 chipset. At first we were definitely put off by the fact that the phone only has 3GB of RAM, while all current Android flagships carry 4. In our benchmarks though, the Xperia X Performance proved worthy of its name and scored about the same as its peers running the same chipset in all the CPU and GPU tests. In real-life usage, the phone never felt laggy and never left us hanging. Even better, the Qualcomm chip runs cool, and the phone only got uncomfortably warm when we pushed it with certain graphics benchmarks. The Xperia X Performance has a decent-sized battery pack, though not as big as the batteries on some of its competitors. The phone supports Quick Charge 2.0 rather than the newer 3.0 standard, but you can still top up 60% of your battery in just 30 minutes. One thing that really makes it stand out though is the Kunovo adaptive technology. It minimizes cell damage during charging and extends the battery's lifespan. In our dedicated battery tests, it achieved more than 7 hours of web browsing and video playback and topped 20 hours of talk time. Those are good numbers on their own, and they result in an overall endurance rating which is average for the segment. Even though the cheaper Xperia X has the exact same camera setup, the camera remains the next big highlight on the Xperia X Performance. You can wake up the camera and snap an image in 0.6 seconds. That's insanely fast, but doesn't include powering up the screen, so you're as good as blindfolded while framing this instantaneous capture. Another new camera-centric feature is Sony's predictive hybrid autofocus. As the name suggests, it will try and predict your subject's movement as it follows it around the frame. This even works in video. In our experience, the new system really manages to track its subjects, but only if they move slowly. Regarding image quality, the images taken by the 23-megapixel camera certainly have a number of positives. First, you get very high levels of detail, higher than most of its competitors. The photos are also contrasty and nicely saturated. The wide 24mm lens captures more in its frame than any of the competitors. The superior auto mode reliably chooses the best shooting preset for the particular scene. The camera shutter key is also a rarity these days. Unfortunately, the camera has a few notable weak points too. The lens sharpness is less than stellar around the corners, and there's visible digital noise even in good light photos. We're also not huge fans of Sony's processing, which leaves textures and vegetation looking funky at pixel level. The camera also struggles with dynamic range and often clips the highlights when faced with contrasty light. In low light, the 23-megapixel camera quickly loses its resolution advantage over its competitors, and the limited dynamic range becomes even more apparent. The level of noise is tolerable, so we were happy with the result when pixel peeping. As for the 13-megapixel front-facing camera, it's quite capable of producing nice selfies too. We're far from being fancy of any soft-skin effects, but the regular selfies we took all look nice. The improved low-light capabilities of the front-facing camera meant we got nicely exposed photos even in the dark. Unfortunately, the camera's autofocus is a hit and miss in the dark. Moving forward, video recording is perhaps the least impressive part of the camera. It's beyond us why the camera lacks 4K video recording with this high-end chipset on board and at this premium price point. The resolve detail in Full HD clips is average and expectedly not even close to 4K levels. Sony's Intelligence Active Steady Shot video stabilization, however, is really something and works quite well to minimize camera shake even when shooting while walking. The Xperia X Performance is the best phone to come out of Sony's lab so far this year and is the flagship of a brand new line of smartphones. Successful smartphone makers are more likely to stick to mere refining of their products, while others have no choice but to rebuild them from the ground up. With Sony's Xperia X lineup, however, we're not quite sure which one of these two paths Sony has taken. Judging by the new name, they're seemingly going after a reboot, yet the small changes over the previous models suggest otherwise. Aside from the latest chipset and the refined design, the X Performance isn't even a clear-cut choice over Sony's own Xperia Z5, as it has a smaller screen than the older phone and lacks 4K video recording. We certainly wouldn't go as far as calling the X Performance a step back, but it sure looks like a step aside. Perhaps if the Xperia X lineup was marked as a spin-off of the Z series compact phones, the situation would have made more sense. As things stand right now, the Xperia X Performance is certainly no slouch in any respect, but it will be challenged to match its ambitious moniker and, more importantly, its ambitious price tag. Check out our full written review with all test findings over at gsmarena.com.